Alright, so all Jill wanted today was to re-up her subscription to virtual reality porn. So nothing I gotta go to the store for.
Nice! Also, we did the smart thing and decided to not record Hal-A before this, so we're actually awake! Welcome back, everyone!
Yeah. So if there's anything that'll put you the hell to sleep, it's gonna be Hal-A. We are actually going to die whenever we do Sasumeki Kodo.
It'll be a dark day.
Like, our hearts will just stop.
Ugh.
Shocking Kira Miki secret.
Womp womp.
That you can't see in Glitch City.
And who isn't?
So, there are some guests that I didn't get on my first time through because they require giving specific drinks to specific characters at certain times. And I'm hoping that one of them is a friend of Alma's, who's at least tangentially related to the Alice Rabbit stuff. And I'm hoping that getting that extra patron will help illuminate that a little bit, because right now the Alice Rabbit stuff seems very pointless.
Weird. Especially since it kind of, in the main plot, does sort of go close to nowhere.
It's supposed to be Alma's thing, I guess, but it doesn't end up being Alma's thing.
Like, the most that you get is, oh, shock, it might be her.
Yeah, pretty much. Let's...
So what we need to pick up today?
Nothing, I'm just going shopping because I want to get this. But I don't know if I have enough spare cash. We'll see. There might be a new game plus thing on my own time. Right now, I'll just go to work.
Doop-doop. It's Friday. This is kind of what I was talking about earlier, in that I actually really like how this overly long, everyone arguing on what that bang sound is. It's kind of both oddly charmingly funny and also kind of that ha-ha, not sure if you're supposed to laugh or not kind of funny.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those true-to-life things of, like, is this somebody, is a car backfiring? Did something just fall over? Is that a gunshot? Are we being attacked right now? Like,
it is just kind of one of the many things that really makes this game shine, and just being very uncomfortably real and at times almost uncomfortably autobiographical.
Yeah. Because the developers are from Venezuela, I believe.
They're in a place where it's not fun times right now.
Yeah, it's rough out there.
Playlist.
It's this guy.
I also really hope we
this
go
is
somewhere
Go ahead.
I was just really hoping that we go somewhere with this Crimson Rose subplot thing, because that's, like, Alice Rabbit is kind of a thing that comes up a lot and sort of also goes nowhere, so...
I mean, they eventually solve it. I forget what the resolution is, but it's not that big of a deal. I don't think it really relates to any characters that we know besides him.
Anyway, what were you gonna say? Nothing at all?
That this character is he's a private investigator, and definitely not George Costanza.
Mm-hmm. And don't worry, they'll throw in a Festivus joke just to make sure you know. Like, I think it comes up like day 13-ish.
Yeah, it's memes, guys. You like them?
Do you love them?
And that's we talked about this in the past, but like the humor in this game ranges from like really on point, like situational humor, to like just references and memes, and
just
your mileage will vary wildly depending on what's coming out of people's mouths.
Mm-hmm. generally, at least when it comes to character humor, with, like, as Ray's aforementioned, sometimes Dana gets a little too wacky for anyone's taste. It's generally pretty on point.
So he wants a drink for $80 because he's cheap, which is going to get him a gut punch.
It looks way more delicious than it actually is, I bet.
Probably. That's the way most drinks are.
And this game definitely does a good job of capturing that. It's like, sometimes they just look like ice creamy delicious. Want to stick a spoon in it, put a cherry on top. It's like I'm scared that Art Von Delay is a reference that I'm not getting in and of itself, but that's pretty much whenever a character comes on screen, it's like, okay, which reference am I not getting now?
Which anime do I need to watch to understand this?
Like, which friend am I going to bring along to play this game and have them go, ah, really? I was like scared to death he was talking about Stella and Say in my first playthrough, just because Crimson Rose and Cobalt Lily.
Yeah. Honestly, like, that's one of the best things about this game is that there are a lot of easy roads that they could have taken with the plots and the story and the characters, and it takes almost none of them.
And just is almost more scary for it.
Yeah, like, it would have been very easy to make Cobalt, Lily, and Crimson Rose, Stella, and Say, because that's what their color palettes are, but they don't do that. It would have been very easy to make Say like this corrupt cop, just putting on airs, but they didn't do that.
To the relief of everyone. Yeah, I forgot that it kind of like, this is the part where the story's still kind of dragging a little. More of just like, this is a cool character, this is a cool potential plot thread.
Yeah, we're still very much in the setup stage of, the bank stuff hasn't happened yet.
And to be fair, like, a lot of people throw criticisms on visual novels for them just tending to be at least slow startup, and while once again Valhalla is ahead of the curve, as you can tell, it's not totally immune. At this point, you're just kind of really more sold on the nice character writing and just curious on who's going to come in next, rather than like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, as you're going to be very, very soon at the edge of your seat.
It's one of those situations where I can definitely see some people being turned off by not the combination of the slow start and the relative shallowness of the gameplay. Because had they gone a more like a Papers, Please route where like you had, you know, patrons to serve and you had time limits, like basically make it alcoholic burger time maybe. Mm-hmm. That would be more engaging but would leave less room for the story. So yeah, they're starting to set up the bank talk already.
Mm-hmm. Even though Harbingers is admittedly like cliche McAnime kind of name.
Yeah.
But that's just like the fussiest complaint I've had yet. Is it the fussiest? Ray,
it's one of them. It's up there. I'll get back to you on that.
Well, it's certainly like the heavyweight champion.
One thing, when the plot actually does start to get going, though, for the characters, one thing that I really appreciate about this game is that it remains character-driven from start to finish. It would have... They never really zoom out to really...
see what exactly is going on.
In the city, like, whenever the stuff with the bank goes down, you're not worried about, like... You're worried about Sei. You're not worried about anything else, really. And the story is about Sei. It's not about, the situation at large.
Honestly, it's kind of a very interesting perspective in that the game puts you in that kind of, like, in real time, you are literally in the place of where everyone else is and just kind of, like, holding your breath for days and days. Still managing to keep the tension of just, I don't know if this character is alright, and the game is almost deliberately making sure to not give me any hints otherwise. I am, like, as in the dark and frightened as everyone else.
Yeah, there's also the whole subplot about the network of bars that the Valhalla is a part of, being involved with some shady stuff. Which, again, with Dana being Dana, would have been very easy to rope her into it, but she stays wholesome.
Oh, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we can safely call this the most controversial character.
Yeah.
Certainly the most base-breaking. At the very least, I can say I kind of like what they did with the text.
Yes, I'm a big fan of all the text scrolls, too. Partly, like, just for what they're saying is good, but also because, again, like with Stella, it makes it more visually to look at, like, interesting to look at, because, like, it just makes the portrait more animated. Because, like, everybody has their lip flaps and they're blinking, but, like, there's more going on with Streaming Chan and Stella than with the rest of the cast.
But needless to say, she hits a very, let's say, raw topic when it comes to internet media right now, so there's that just kind of being a backlight to an already kind of character, so she's really playing a dangerous game.
Yeah, but, like, it's not like she doesn't have any, like, it's not like she's completely meritless. Like, I mean, if you want to try to be high-minded and break down her character into a theme, her theme's voyeurism, and, like, the weird kind of voyeuristic tendency the internet has created in the general public for just other people's lives, and how people exploit that for profit. Because, like, she's just walking around living with a camera strapped to her head, and people watch what she does. And it also taps into how, in order to get views and to make money, she lives in very unhealthy ways.
I guess it's one of those things that a lot of it is very on point in regards to voyeurism and internet exploitation, and I guess ultimately the internet culture that especially more similarly exploitive things have done, but I guess it's kind of similar to Dorothy in that this is kind of a dangerous line that they kind of do on, and sometimes they kind of trip into. Just a bit too much. But I think kind of unlike Dorothy, who had, like, such a very clearly, explicitly defined character that was really working against the kind of trope that she was, Streaming Chan, for acceptable reasons, is very, very much sewn into her persona and what she's taking commentary on, and I think that's kind of both... Well, ultimately it's a bit of a damned if you do, damned if you don't in character writing, so... And I admit my feelings on that are just very mixed as a result of it. Though, generally, like everything else toward this game, it leans a lot more toward favorable, and that they did try to keep it humorous. They did really kind of keep the joke ultimately at the expense of the viewers and the people buying into this, rather than the individual character themselves. And they still tried to keep it as lighthearted as they really could, without really being kind of meta-exploitive, I would say.
Again, they present the subject matter, but they don't really try to, present their own message on it. They leave it up to you to decide, is streaming Chan funny? Is it kind of a sad commentary?
Though I think, like, a little bit, like everything else, I think they get a little too self-depreciative for their own good in her, and that's kind of, like, at least one of the criticisms I really have. Though, another good example of a well-done front-on.
Yeah. So really, forget everything that I said about art and things that I don't know what I'm talking about. They just didn't do such a good job with Jill. Or Gil.
Well, I think you were right in that, like, ultimately Gil is kind of the most realistic quote-quote out of the batch, and they're just clearly being a lot more stylized with all of their other front-ons, especially their girls, so I think Streaming Chan is no exception.
Yeah, the girls definitely are much more explicitly anime-inspired with their art styles. Like, the smaller, like, undersold noses, the pointed chins.
The really exaggerated eyes, just kind of a general roundness.
Whereas they try to be a little more realistic, I guess you would say, with the males. As realistic as you can be for cyborg assassins.
Mm-hmm. God, Kiramiki's so nice she's even willing to talk to this kid.
Yeah. I feel like Kiramiki would do most anything if you asked her politely.
Mm.
The soundtrack is so amazing.
It is. Like, I was gonna say, I love... It's just like, there's another things like that, another reference that I'm missing with all those aids.
Another thing with
Mm-hmm.
the way I think Gil was just overall just mishandled as a character.
I think a lot of that was production, because wasn't he originally supposed to be kind of more of a co-protagonist then? Just kind of a second.
I don't recall. I think in the prologue, you either play as Gil or you play as somebody who's not in either games.
Generally, you just got a feeling that there was a lot of stuff that was kind of in rush production, especially toward the end. Like, God bless them, they really managed to hold everything together, all things considered.
She's just doing things for the sake of viewership and with no real regard for her own well-being.
So I can totally understand how it would be a mixed reaction with a lot of people. Lots and lots of world building.
Yeah.
World building, world building. I guess that's kind of another thing you could really hold against her character, is that she's kind of here more to world build. It doesn't really have a plot per se.
Yeah, but she does reveal really weird and uncomfortable things about this world, like the fact that people are willing to sell their likeness to make 3D models for virtual reality pornography.
Yeah, it's... Generally, the implications of porn are kind of gross in this. But then again, this is a very reactionary to the internet, so what do you expect?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, she's a very comic relief person, ultimately.
Luckily, she doesn't show up very often.
Though, interestingly, they did choose to do her in, I know, one of the prologues, right?
Yeah, I think she was the star of like one of the PAX demos, which I did not play.
Because no corgis.
No corgis. And I was already sold at that point. Like, I played the prologue, and I was like, all right, I'm getting this. And immediately bought the soundtrack, and I didn't want to run the risk of like accidentally turning myself off of it.
Okay,
that's a little bit on the nose.
I was gonna say, like, okay, that's on point.
Yeah.
Just like one of those things is just like, oh, but that's true. Oh, but that's true.
That's one of the things where like I do watch streams and mostly games, and like that's one of the things that you will see sometimes content producers really struggle with, is this idea of like, I'm technically marketing myself to an older audience, but I know kids are watching, so how do I rationalize and balance that? Like, do I, sort of, take more responsibility for myself and, try to clean things up, because I know there are people who shouldn't be watching this, technically watching it, and there's nothing you can really do to stop them? Or do I just kind of shift all that blame onto the parents for not policing what their children are consuming and just do what I had originally intended?
Honestly, the internet has kind of just called a lot of just age viewership into question a lot, just because of how utterly accessible and especially compared to other things like books, movies, television, etc., that a lot of people have a lot more control and are able to manage, especially for a younger crowd, when the internet's kind of more of a big playground free-for-all. I think it has really kind of made things a lot more difficult for our generation trying to figure out how to navigate that. And I think it's something that, young and old were still kind of struggling with, so that's kind of something interesting, and I haven't even thought of it until this conversation. Go, close reading!
Thank you, Streaming Chan.
Thank you for making us think. Where's our subscribe button?
What if I just want to like, though? I don't want to subscribe, not yet.
Yeah, premium's pretty expensive. Though I guess, like, in this place, like, $40 is, like, $1.250.
Yeah, the inflation glitch to these almost as bad as in Greenvale.
I think this was the one I used, too. Or something with, like, optional carotene. And then just plowed it.
Yes. Gigantic fringe weaver. Hey guys, you like memes and references?
Do you?
Hey, we almost made it an entire shift without boob talk.
Well, here's my sip. But don't worry, it's all female on female.
So yeah, it's not creepy or weird, because girls just talk about boobs constantly.
Oh yeah, and also, like, this horrible implication.
Yeah.
So, ultimately, at the end of the day, you feel more sorry for her than anything.
All you need to pay $100 to watch her get it on with someone. Which is, considering that's not even the price of... Most drinks are more expensive than that. That's pretty cheap.
Yeah. Ooh.
Though it's probably monthly and automatically renewing. So that's how they get you.
Yeah. Oh, she's limited liability.
Yeah.
Very trendy.
She's got her legal stuff sorted out. Yeah, she just hasn't slept for like a week. Or like a month now.
Like, this scientifically should have killed her.
Wait a minute, is she dressed like Kyo Kusanagi for King of Fighters?
Oh, god damn it! God damn this game. That's another sip.
Just noticed that.
Ugh. I need a break too, Jill. I might need to take up smoking to deal with that.